Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on a Thursday evening. I hope everyone is well and keeping safe. And for those who is the first time joining us today, by way of introduction, my name is Lucas Chong from Select Property Group, UK's leading property developer. And the topic that we'll be exploring and looking today is to discover and analyze the differences between the Singapore property market as well as the UK property markets. And looking at today's agenda, we'll look into the facts and pros and cons between both markets of Singapore and UK property market. We'll also take a deeper look into the UK property purchasing process. And we'll touch on some exclusive market opportunities for those who are interested to explore further. Now, I believe most of us here would know that when exploring into property investment, be it locally or overseas, oftentimes we'll look at factors such as if a market is an emerging market or whether it is a maturing market, if there's any potential for capital gain, if there's any restrictions for foreign buyers or even local buyers, what is the stamp duty for international buyers? How easy can I exit the property? And oftentimes when comparing markets from different countries, we also look out for the bubble because for maturing market, there is a risk of the bubble state. So looking at Singapore market, Singapore has been one of the fastest growing countries in the world in line with Hong Kong, Japan, New York, or even London. Hence, I was speaking to a long-term client recently on the Singapore market, and we discussed about whether Singapore market in terms of pricing and potential is still a good place to invest in. Obviously that depends on location, but the main topic that we touch on would be on the additional buyer stamp duty. So the ABSD and the total debt servicing ratio, the TDSR, was introduced a couple of years back by the Singapore government in order to control the market. So these are cooling measures introduced to control the property market to prevent Singapore property prices from skyrocketing and to reach a bubble state. And as a result of that, Singapore transaction has cooled down. And so we discuss on which area would still have the potential for gain. A certain area we do see a very high per square feet prices, and that give a second thoughts on whether it is still a good time to enter the market now. And if we look at the overview of the Singapore market, now Singapore market is the second most expensive property market in the world, as we know, with property prices averaging at 870,000 USD. So that's equivalent to approximately 1.1 million Singapore dollars. And we've seen properties like HDB has even surpassing the 1 million mark, which is extremely high. And not to say about private residentials in these terms. And Singapore residential prices are expected to grow by around 2% in 2021. And this is down from 2018, but around the same level as 2019. So this is the expected capital growth, in Singapore in general, 2% in 2021. And for Singapore citizens purchasing a second property in terms of stamp duty, the ABSD, one have to pay an ABSD of 12% and an ABSD of 15% for their third and subsequent property. And for foreigners, the ABSD can reach up to 20%, which is relatively high, one of the highest stamp duty rates in the world. And in terms of exiting as well, because exiting is always a very important factor in an investment cycle. And how easy is it for you to exit from the property? Now, property sellers in Singapore have to pay seller stamp duty, SSD, if he or she sells a property within the first 3 years of holding period. So this is to control buyers or sellers to flip the property. So there is a minimum holding period for 3 years for private properties. And comparatively, if we look at the UK property market, for UK property, house prices are still increasing across the UK. Growth in Manchester and Birmingham, which are currently the top performing cities in the UK, has surpassed 7% year on year. And UK as a whole is achieving 4.4% growth on average. This is considering all the UK cities. In fact, UK has been one of the most popular destinations to look at for buyers looking at overseas property. And one of the reasons is that UK is really one of the most flexible kind of properties, especially for international buyers. So to list down a few main points to look out for UK properties, there is no minimum holding period. So you can basically sell it before or after completion. And then in terms of stamp duty, these are also relatively low for both local and international buyers. There's no seller stamp duty when you exit the property. And generally, UK is still very undersupplied of properties and offers a room for capital gain. So these are very emerging markets, depending on areas as well, as compared to more maturing market where prices has reached a certain state or a price ceiling. So naturally, the room for capital gain would be more limited. And in terms of UK, for the top performing cities, the investment amount is relatively low as well. So we are looking at starting from £280,000, which translates to around about 600,000 Singapore dollars or less. And as I was saying, going back to my conversation with my long-term client previously, because he was investing all over Singapore and looking at the land price achieved by the developer alone, is easily surpassing 1,000 Singapore dollars per square feet now. And that's before adding in the construction costs, before adding in the developer's margin. So which is why oftentimes the selling price per square feet wise, for a good location in Singapore can be very high. So if we take a comparison between both markets here, if we take a look at Singapore market first, the average prices is around about $1 million Singapore dollars, I would say, to be fair. We can find lower prices, properties or higher tier, but averagely as average starting price, $1 million Singapore dollars. Initial outlay or down payment for the first year or is usually 50 to 60%, taking into account the progressive payment. Now the down payment could be around about 20%, but with Singapore, because it's on a progressive payment term, so on the first year, we are looking at between 50 to 60% cash outlay. Stamp duty is around 10 to 20% on average. So to put it into quantum, the total cash outlay for down payment is approximately 500,000 to 600,000 Singapore dollars when we invest in a property. And comparing to UK, the average prices, if we look at Manchester, range from around about 600,000 Singapore dollars. And typically for UK, there is no progressive payment, so it's all deferred payment. So your down payment is a one of 20% or 30%, depending on asset classes and developments. And your balance of 70% or 80% is then due on TOP or on completion. And for UK, stamp duty is relatively friendly. So we are looking at an average of 5 to 7% on average. Now, stamp duty rate in the UK is tiered by amount. So that depends on the purchasing price of the property transactions. So buying in Manchester or buying in London obviously has a very different stamp duty rate, but we are looking at between 5 to 7% for an emerging market. And to translate it to a quantum, the total cash outlay for down payment will be approximately at 120,000 to 140,000, and with mortgage available for the balance amount due on completion. So looking at both classes here, a lot of my clients who has had properties in Singapore would find it interesting to diversify their investment elsewhere, mainly because they are looking at a lower investment amount and a higher capital gain, and of course, a higher rental yield as well. And if we look at, why UK property has been one of the most popular options for investors to look at when they're looking at overseas property investment. Now, the UK economy is set to grow at the fastest rate in over 70 years currently. And house prices has actually grew by 9.5% in the year to May 2021. And the UK economy is expected to grow by 7.25% in year 2021. And one might ask, why is the market growing so rapidly? It's mainly down to the efforts and the regeneration plans by the government, which we'll take a deeper look into shortly. And before that, we'll look into the UK property purchasing process for those who are exploring on UK property or first time looking into purchasing into the UK. I would like to share with you the process of buying into a UK property market. Now, first and foremost, of course, we want to do our research. So we want to understand the market better. We want to search for the right property for us that's in line with our strategy of our investment needs as well, and which is in line with our timeline. So do have a look at the market, understand better. And once you've found the right property and the right units, the next step would be on document submission. So this is fairly similar to buying a property in Singapore. We pay a deposit of £5,000 typically, and we sign a reservation form, so which is similar to OTP. And we appoint a solicitor to do the exchange of contract or the sales and purchasing agreement. Now, the whole process can be done in Singapore. One do not have to travel out to the UK to complete the purchase. So it takes about 28 days or approximately a month for your appointed solicitor to do the exchange of contract for you. And when that's done, your first down payment is due, and that's typically, as we mentioned earlier, 20% to 30%, and that would be your transaction completed. With Select Property Group, we have an investor services team. They're either based in our Shanghai office or Dubai office, and they will be keeping you updated from construction progress up to completion, where once you've had the key handover, we will also help you in terms of furnishing your units, in terms of managing your unit, in terms of renting out your unit. We'll help you with rent collection as well. And when you wish to exit the market, we also have an internal resale brokerage team that can help you to resell your property, as we believe exit is a very important cycle in the investment cycle. And going back to factors to consider when looking at UK property, now within UK property, there are emerging markets and also a maturing market as well. So it's always very important to identify which market would provide the best yield or capital gain for you if that's in line with your investment goal. So we want to identify an emerging market ideally for investment. We also want to look at the past trend. So looking at the past 5 years trend, the top performing cities has been the northern cities. So primarily Manchester has been leading, followed by Birmingham and Edinburgh. So these are currently the top emerging market for the next 10, 15 years as well for the most optimal investment yield. Of course, we do want to look at the government's intention and the regeneration plans when picking an investment hotspot. And oftentimes why northern cities are growing is really down to a master plan known as the Northern Powerhouse. And this brings us to the next slide. Before that, we'll look at the hot selling projects showcase with Select Property Group. Now, for those who are not familiar with Select Property Group, we are one of the UK's leading developers and property investment specialists. We started in 2004. Select Property has been developing finance property investment in the strongest investment cities. Most projects have attracted Asian investors, especially from Singapore as well. Our headquarters is based in Manchester, UK. We do have global offices in Dubai, in Shanghai, and in Hong Kong, as we cater to international buyers and investors worldwide. And we specialize in building different asset classes in their emerging market. And these are a few examples of our recent hot selling projects. Residential's The Blade in Manchester. Completion will be in 2023. Vita Student here would be a brand of our purpose-built student accommodation. Vita Student Park Place is our latest Vita student available, completing in 2022 August. And this is our 26th Vita. And just recently, worth sharing as well, Mapletree Investment has also acquired 4 of our past Vita residences at 300 million Singapore dollars. And this is on top of another acquisition by Deutsche Bank in 2019 at 600 million pounds. So worth to share about the strong market, the resilient market of the student market. And student market and residential market, just to share here as well, is a very different market. So both are structured differently. And for those who are keen to explore further, do be in contact after this. And going down to Victoria Residences, Victoria Residences was our project that was completed in November last year and renting extremely well in the midst of pandemic. 98 Baker Street is also our London development, completing in Q4 2022, a very exclusive address in Central Zone 1 London. So in terms of UK market, looking at the top performing hotspot now, we want to look at Manchester, to introduce Manchester as an overview for those who are keen to explore further. Now with Manchester, if we look at the economy-wise, Manchester's economy is growing at a faster rate than the UK national average as a whole. And Manchester is currently forecasted to experience the highest sales and rental price growth of any UK metropolitan area in the next 5 years. And even in the past 5 years, Manchester has been consistently the top performing city for growth. And it is home to 80% of the FTSE 100 companies. And recently, Manchester has been firmly identified as the best city to live in, the top 3 best city to live in the world. And fundamentally, why Manchester is growing so rapidly is really because of demand and supply. And that's how property is based on, as most of us would know. The city's population is currently rising at 15 times the rate new homes are currently being built at. So population growth is the highest for Manchester compared to the UK at the moment. And we are keeping up with the supply of rental properties, which is why the rentability, the rental rate is very active in the market currently. Manchester City Centre needs around about 2,500 new residential homes each year just to meet the current demands. And in terms of tenant demand, recent research from Rightmove shows that inquiries for Manchester City Centre rental properties have increased by 69% year on year. Now, we are one of the main developers in Manchester, and we do own a good portfolio of residential service apartment hotels in Manchester. And from the rental aspect of things, we do see a very active rental market. And looking into why, Manchester or northern cities, as we've discussed earlier on, is the top performing cities currently, it really boils down to this master plan called the Northern Powerhouse. So the Northern Powerhouse was a master plan announced by the UK Prime Minister in 2015. And the main objective was to divert the UK economy from London to northern cities. And Manchester is identified as the core city of this master plan. So which is why if we follow the market from 2015 to now, a lot of regeneration plans are being put into northern cities in terms of transport, in terms of incentivizing companies to move over, in terms of education, in terms of research as well. So this is boosting the city and economy as a whole. The Northern Powerhouse is also backed up by Chinese President Xi Jinping, and reconstruction work in Northern Powerhouse has attracted billions of funds, both from the local governments as well as from international investors. And within Manchester, before I look into the Crown Street location, I would like to share with you on Manchester as a city, for those who may not be too familiar. On the map here, we can see this is the map of central Manchester, which is the Zone 1 Manchester. And it is separated by the Ring Road, which is the grey road in this instance. And if I can move my cursor here, looking at the train station, so train station in Manchester goes one round from Victoria train station. We've got a Salford train station here, to Deansgate train station, to Oxford train station, and to Piccadilly train station. Piccadilly train station will be going out to the other cities of the UK. And to take a quick overview, the main city center or the shopping district, similar to Orchard area in Singapore, would be in the M3 postcode. If you can see my cursor, this is the area of M3 postcode, where we have Harvey Nichols Ansdale Shopping Center. This is by the River Irwell and High Street of restaurants and bars here. Our previous developments are located here, Affinity Living Embankment West, which is completing in July and August this year. Our service apartment hotel, City Suites, which is the top one service apartment hotel in Manchester, is also located here. Now, comparatively, I would say this is a sort of maturing area as well, as there is no more land for new builds. If we look at Spinningsfield, this is run about 10 to 15 minutes walking distance away. Now, Spinningsfield is the financial district, so the central business district, where most of the companies, of FTSE 100 companies, are located here. Similar to, I would say, Raffles Place or City Hall in Singapore. And Casterfield would be a premium leisure area. Currently, if we look at the location of one of our developments, the Blade, this is part of the Greater Jackson Framework, which is a master plan by the council itself to be shaped into the new city center too. It is also the iconic skyscraper district for this area. So currently, this is one of the most popular area for investment by investors. But sharing down, if we look at down south here, we have the Manchester University on First Street. So we do see more student property around this area. We have Chinatown in the middle, and Piccadilly Station, as we mentioned, will be going out to Manchester. So generally for Manchester, Zone 1 and Zone 2 has a very different market in terms of demand supply, in terms of rentability as well. We focus on Zone 1, where this is the most optimum locations for investment. And it is near the tenants pool, and this is where most of the regenerations by the government are focused in this area. So taking a look at Crown Street location, known as the Crown Street Collection here, this is in prime city center location, the gateway of the UK's #1 investment city. And with Manchester, traditionally, most of the properties are quite low rise. So we are looking at low rise red brick buildings. Only in the Crown Street location, we can build taller buildings. So properties here are around about 51 to 52 story talls, which is known as the skyscraper district as well. So it is one of the tallest buildings in Manchester skyscraper district. It's minutes walking distance away from the city's main business and retail hubs. 5 to 7 minutes walking distance to Spinningsfield, and another 10 to 15 minutes walking distance to the main shopping district. If we walk to the nearest train station, it is just about 5 minutes walking distance to the Deansgate train station. Excuse me. So this is a perfect location for investment. Worth sharing as well, Victoria Residence, which is one of our previous development completed in November last year, is located in the same area, and it was renting tremendously well in the midst of a pandemic. So worth to, it says more about the location for Crown Street. And as we mentioned earlier, with the Greater Jackson Framework, the Greater Jackson Framework is a master plan by the council. And this is a specific 10 years master plan starting in 2017. And the site is, as shown in this picture. So this site would be the site of the Greater Jackson Framework, often known as the Greater Jackson Street. From what you see here, this is the plan for the skyscraper district or the city center too. Not all of the properties are there at the moment. Some are completed, some are still in the pipeline, but this will be the final plan for this site. So going into this site, as we can see, the 4 towers here are Deansgate Square for those who are familiar. So these are the earlier residential project that has been around in the market. The middle plot here will be used for a commercial plot. So these are not developed yet, but it will be developed into commercial plots, so likely Grade A offices. It could be malls as well. On this plot as well, which is the plot C, we have the residential plot here. Victoria Residence, which was completed last year, is located here. The sister tower, Elizabeth Tower, will be completing in Q1 2022, so very soon. We are very excited for the completion of Elizabeth Tower as well. Elizabeth Tower is sold out, and Victoria Residence is over 99% sold out and over 90% tenanted at the moment. And 2 years back, one of the plans by the Greater Jackson Framework Master Plan is in terms of schools and nurseries. So a Crown Street Primary School has been approved planning permission in 2019, and which is located here beside Elizabeth Tower and the Blade. And this is currently under construction. The Blade is one of our projects available here, and this is completing in 2023. And a sneak peek as well, we will be launching a new tower beside the Blade called 360, completing in 2024 as well. So in terms looking at this plot as well, this is the current regeneration area. This is connecting strategically between the CBD, the Spinningsfield, and a neighborhood called Helms in Zone 2 as well. So which is why it is strategic to be improved on transport, research, medical, as well as schools and education, which is why Deansgate is one of the most popular and fastest selling area in Manchester currently. And to share with you on the Blade, our development available in Crown Street Collection, this is Manchester's latest investment opportunity. So over £100 million worth of property has been sold since launch in October 2020. So within a year or less than a year's time, usually a development would be close to sold out. And since 2018, Reneca and Select Property Group have been working together to deliver exceptional new residential developments in Manchester city centre. And the Blade is one of the buildings in the Crown Street Collection. With the Blade, now the Blade is one of the more premium residences in central Manchester, and this is created by Reneca, a developer as well. This is a partnership between Reneca and Select Property Group. So Manchester's most prominent property developer and sold by Select Property Group. Standing at 52 stories tall with spectacular views across Manchester's skyline. 414 luxury 1, 2, and 3 bedders with penthouses available on the top floors. And with the Blade, it is also one of the few residences that come with very comprehensive state-of-the-art facilities. So including one of the largest gymnasium in the city with a separate steam room, a separate sauna as well. And we do have male and female changing room and also a live work lounge available on the ground floor. So these are catering to Gen Y tenants, who would need more live work lounge, and podium terrace available is also on level 2. We also come with private meeting rooms, private dining area for the tenants booking, resident lounges available with concierge, and a community park available outside of the Blade as well. Now for the Blade, completion of TOP is in Q4 2023. And projected yield is at 6% gross, approximately 5% net. Capital growth predicted over construction period will be at 12%. And zooming into the location of Crown Street. Now, earlier on, if we look at the Greater Jackson framework, the site is located in this site, if we can recall the triangle shape here. So the Blade is located as part of the Greater Jackson framework. Now going up north, we have the Spinningsfield, and all the way down, we will be reaching the shopping district here. And taking a look at the payment milestone or the payment plan for the Blade, in terms of pricing wise, 1 bedder starts at around about £260,000. 2 bedders will be around about £350,000 on average. On payment plan, typically one pays a £5,000 reservation fee and a £495 admin fee on reservation of units. Your 20% down payment is then due on exchange of contract, and this is approximately 28 days from your reservation date. Your balance of 80% balance will minus your 5,000 reservation fee pay. And this is due on completion in year 2023. And mortgage is available for the balance payment as well. And looking at the long-term investment projects for Manchester, I would definitely advise a holding of minimum 5 to 10 years, where the market will be expected to reach their peak cycle. So this is based on a 5-year post-completion project return on a predicted market, and basing it on a 1 and 2 bedroom apartments in the Blade, Manchester at £330,000. In terms of investment forecast, we are looking at a 4% capital gain per annum. Now, this is the actual capital gain achieved in year 2021 for central Manchester. So a very realistic capital gain rate here. And in terms of rental income of 6% growth, we are looking at a 66% return on investment in a 5 years holding period. And for those who are keen, we do have some webinar savings available for attendees today. Special summer offer of furniture package discount on 1-bed apartments. This is available until end of the month. So for those who are keen to understand better, do feel free to get in touch with me and I'll be happy to advise further. And before I end the webinar, I'd also like to share with you our upcoming launch located in the same area beside the Blade. This is the cylinder tower known as the 360. So Manchester first cylindrical skyscraper district, an architecture masterpiece meets the city of innovation. This is due to launch in the next few weeks. So for those who are keen to be on the waiting list or to receive preliminary information, do feel free to get in touch as well, and I'll keep you updated. And these are my details here for those who wish to get in touch. I'm based in Hong Kong, but I do travel between Southeast Asia. So that sums up the webinar today. I hope this is useful for you. And thank you for your time. Once again, I hope to see you in our next masterclass. Thank you.